Howdy friends, Guthrie Trap here, coming at you from East Nashville, Tennessee. Beautiful day here in Nashville, just hanging out, wanted to play a little guitar, and wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I approach playing the guitar and things that really worked for me as a kid growing up, learning how to play bluegrass and blues and rock and roll and stuff like that. So a couple of these things I like to teach that I know work for me, and I think they'll work for you as well. Just the way I look at the guitar and music in general, but there are some fundamentals that definitely work that I think everybody should know. And you've heard me talk about playing over the chord changes and the cage system and all that stuff. So basically, that's something I think is super important. You know, knowing your C shape, you know, your open chord, and the scale around it. And then go into your next shape, your A shape. Right, visualizing that chord shape. Moving up to your G shape. Just really seeing those shapes. I'm going to go through these scales pretty quickly, but moving up to your E shape bar chord, your C shape, your C chord, E shape. You know, and then up here to your D shape. And then eventually back up to your C shape. So there's only those shapes. So once you learn it in one key, you really know it in every key, which is the beauty of the guitar. A lot of this stuff repeats, and you're just taking, if you look at it like this, like I'm taking this triad and I'm just moving it to here, and then so a lot of these triads are repeating themselves up the fingerboard, which if you can kind of think about that a little bit, that's another thing that makes this a little less overwhelming, as you're just moving up into these different positions. So once you learn your shapes in like the key of C, then you pretty much know them in all the keys. It's just the way that they move around, and that's the beauty, because what happens is once I learn my shape around this C shape, you know, C chord, then when I go to F, there's my F chord right there. If I happen to be C to F, well then I already know that scale. Over that shape, go to G, I know it there, everywhere up the fingerboard. So that's something that I really like to drive home, is the importance of really seeing those shapes, because what happens is the chord is the ultimate foundation, and then the pentatonic scale, or the pentatonic shapes over those chords, are the framework, and then the scales and the chromatic notes that you put in over top of that are like the icing on the cake. So that's what we're trying to get to. So within each one of those chords, you know, all these target notes are home base notes, I like to call them, which are the notes in the chord that make up the chord. And then the pentatonic. So if I'm playing out of this G shape, I'm thinking, that's my pentatonic shape. So those are my target notes. It's just directly outlining that chord. And then, you know, the scale that we went over earlier, the scale over that, you know, those are just notes that are it's based on the pentatonic shape. You're just adding in the notes of the scale, which will be used for, you know, your melodies and all the stuff that's to come with playing. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And to further that, you know, once you get to where these chords are starting to make sense to you, and you're starting to see the shapes, you know, really break these down. And there's a couple really good exercises I'll do, where I'll do the triad, the first three notes, your E, B, and G string in the key of C, and then we're taking the B, G, and D string, and then ultimately the G, D, and A string, and then the D, A, and E string. So those are your triads. So what happens is you really want to look at how, let's get into a closed position so I can show you this better. You really want to look at these triads is that's going to enable you to learn how to build these chords. So you really want to get comfortable with this because this is directly connected to playing lead. So the chords that, the notes that change in the chord are the notes that you change in your lead playing. That's what we all are striving for and what we want to hear when we hear guys play over chord changes. So what that means is when I'm playing this C triad, to make C major 7, I'm just lowering the 1, which is C, down a half step. So that makes C major 7. If I'm playing this shape, right, that's C major 7. So C major and C major 7, you're able to use that note of the scale. So that natural 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that works for C major and C major 7. Now if I go down and play this triad and I want to make a C dominant 7, which means we're going to have the major 3rd, but we're also going to have a bluesier sound, I'm going to take that 1, that C, and I'm going to go down a whole step, and that's going to make C7. So for that chord, the major scale, that note doesn't work, or you get this. So we have to alter that scale to play over that C7 chord. So we're going to play C major scale with the flatted 7, which is the note that changes to make C7. It gives us that sound. So if this chord's making that sound, why not? The scale's going to need to do it too. So that scale sounds like this. Some people call it your Mixolydian mode. I call it the C dominant 7 scale, which is starting on the 1, but we're flatting the 7. And to get comfortable with that all over the fingerboard, all this stuff all over the fingerboard is the key. So that goes over C dominant 7. Now, to go C minor, I'm going to take this triad and I'm going to flat the major 3rd. That gives me C minor. So in that instance, I'm going to use this. Minor pentatonic. But I'm also thinking, as far as the scale that works over there, I like to add the 2 to it. So that's going to be C, D, flat 3. And that gives me a little bit more expressive melody notes that I can use, like here. It just gives you a little bit more, that having that 2 note in there, that D, it gives you, where you're playing over some really, a little bit more getting out of that pentatonic shape and being able to have some really interesting melodic notes that'll break you out of that. So, getting back to the triads, that's what you want to be able to do. You want to see these triads and what notes change to build those chords. So then when you have this triad and you go up to this triad in C, you're using the same concept where I want to go, okay, here's my C triad. Now to go C major 7, I'm dropping that 1 down, C dominant 7, right? So, or C minor, dropping that 3rd. So the more you do that, when you see the triads in every shape and how to move that 1, your 1, 3, and 5. So those are the notes that you're going to use to build the chords. So the 1, 3, and 5 creates a major chord. Drop the 1, you get major 7. Drop it again, half step, gives you C dominant 7. You take the 3rd, that gives you your minor. So those are the 3 chords, the 3 sounds that I would be most concerned about if I was beginning the guitar. Is your major, major 7, which the major scale works over both those. And then your dominant 7, where you alter that scale to do a flat 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. And then minor, where you're adding the 2. So that's a great exercise. So another thing you can do that's really great to map out these triads is play your C triad, like this shape. This is one example. You can do it on all the triads, but this one I like because it's the B, the G, and the D string. And I'm just going to take those 3 notes and I'm going to play 1, 4, which is F, 5, G, and then you're back to your 1, which is C. So I'm just on these 3 strings. I'm playing C, F, G, back to C, F, G, back to C, F, G, C, F, G, C, F, G, and then all the way up. So what that does is it really helps you map out this fingerboard to where when you work on this for a couple weeks or a couple months, you can really see these chord shapes up the neck. And you know, if you're playing in C here, well, you've got an F here, you got a G right there, and you've got a C right there. So if I'm playing in C and I do this, I know that's going to my F because that's that F shape right there. If I go, there's my G, so I'm looking at these shapes. So that's F shape, C shape, right to my G. And then right back to my C. So I'm able to see the chords that are changing, and I'm able to see the shapes. That is a huge, huge, huge fundamental that you can use to really start working your way up the fingerboard and not getting lost. I would highly recommend that is just one of the top things to really start getting under your belt, because it will make sense. Things will start connecting, and you know, the next lesson I'll do, I'll show you how to start connecting that stuff with the scales and stuff too, and getting more melodic and musical. I know I didn't play a lot of guitar here, but that's a great little lesson. You know, this is the kind of stuff that you can do with these simple shapes. Friends, I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. All right, bye.